kitchen, well, in my motorhome kitchen. And today I'm getting ready to make some oyster stew. Stewed oysters. Or oyster stew. I don't know which is the difference. But it's kind of, I'm going to Mimi size it. Because I'm going to do some things that you normally, when you have stewed oysters, you just have the celery and the butter and the milk and the oysters. But I'm going to add green onions to mine, bacon, and diced potatoes, and season it with parsley, paprika, and this right here is Cajun seasoning. It's going to make it spicy and a little salty. I don't use a lot of that because sometimes the oysters are salty on their own because they do come from the ocean. I have 1 quart of oysters, and I'm going to chop up all this because the recipe I have is for 1 pint. So I'm going to double everything. So I'm going to use the oysters and the juice. But first thing I'm going to do is drain my oysters to make sure that no shells are in them. But I got to save the juice. So I'll pour them in a colander and save the juice. And hopefully no shells come through with the juice. In the meantime, I'm going to cut up all this. I'm going to fry up about 2 strips of bacon. And use that to fry up my, saute my onions and my celery because the milk is not going to boil. We don't want the milk to boil, which is half and half. We don't want that to boil. We really don't want the oysters to boil. We just want them to become really, really hot. Maybe to just below boiling until it simmers. And so it means I've got to cook all of my vegetables, my potatoes. I'm going to just dice those up and put those in the microwave and let those cook. Then I'm going to heat up my bacon, cook my bacon, and then I'm going to saute my onions and my celery and my other onions. So I have green onions here and I have regular yellow onion here that I'm going to use in my oyster stew. We'll see how that works. Oh, my butter. Oh, my butter is going to go with my bacon grease, but not until almost the very end. Well, I'll come back and let you see how I put this together. Yum, yum. First thing I'm going to do is cut up my bacon into small pieces. This I'm going to fry it up. I have it on 275, but I want it on lower than that. So I'm going to reduce the temperature. That's why I like this so much, because I can reduce it down to exactly what I want it to be. I have it on 250 now. Okay, once I do this, I have two pieces of bacon here, and I'm going to use 2 more. So if you were just doing a pint of oysters, just use 2 pieces of bacon. And this is not what you would fix if you got an appointment with your doctor to get your cholesterol checked this week. And I only do this once because this is not something I fix in the summertime, because when it's hot, you don't want all this fat and oily and greasy stuff. Okay. Alright. Got that cut up. I'm going to move this around. Alright, I'm going to put that on low and let that render down. And in the meantime, while that's rendering, I'm going to let the top on this and let that go a little bit longer. That's going to give me just enough time to cut up my celery, my onions, and my scallions. And I'll be right back. Okay, first thing I'm going to do with my celery is I am trying to get all the strings out of it. You know how the celery kind of gets stringy? And so I just go on each end and pull the strings off of it. This is what I've gotten so far. All these strings. And normally if you're going to cook it a long time, you don't even worry about that because they'll just, you know, go to nothing just like everything else does. But because I'm not really cooking it that long, I want to make sure I don't have any strings in my stew. I don't want that. 4 or 5 stalks of celery, but I cut the ends of them off, and these were already really cut off by the time I got them. They didn't have the leafy ends on them, and I like the leafy ends. And when I have the celery leaves on the end, I always use those in my cooking too, because they do add flavor also. Okay, and this one has some little leafy things. I use those too. Yep, use all of that. Alrighty. And I'm cutting these a lot thinner than I would, let's say, if I were doing a beef stew or something like that. I cut them real thin as I can. I'll put these in my skillet, let these cook. And my bacon is coming in still. So I'm going to add some butter to the bacon grease and stuff. And saute the celery and my onions and my scallions until everything is done. I'm not going to use that end like that. I'm trying to use only the tender pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the pot right now. Other than the potatoes, the celery take the longest, but I'm going to put the potatoes in the microwave. They just take too long, make me wait too long. It's been my job while we're on the trip to fix lunch if we're going to have it, and dinner. My sister helped the expense, and I provided the cooking. I love to cook, so it was not a labor for me. It's a labor of love, but yeah. And she tells me all the time that she would love to be able to cook like me, and I think she thinks I cook better than I really do. Yeah, that's okay. This is my little sister. She's supposed to think that. Okay, I'll put the rest of this in with my bacon. See that? This is on 250. Turn this up a little bit. Let that cook a little faster. Turn to 275. But I'm going to keep the top on it because if I don't, it may burn. And this really, the temperature on this goes up really fast. That's one of the reasons I like this so much too. Okay. Put the top on that. And come back to my onions. Okay. Alright, the next thing is my scallions. I've got 3 stalks scallions, and they're not as fresh as I would like. I got them last week one day, and they look like I got them last week one day, so I have to pull off the outsides to get down to the fresher parts. I'm going to use about a half a cup of the onions. Okay, I'm going to add in my onions. And I've got my celery in here, and my onions and my scallions, and they are cooking up nicely. I'm getting ready to put my butter in there now. Put my butter, drop my butter in there, and let that melt. In the meantime, while that keeps on cooking and sauteing, and I didn't necessarily want my bacon to be crisp. It didn't have to be crisp. You may want yours crisp. I didn't want mine crisp because I don't want it to interfere with the mouthfeel of my oysters and potatoes and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and let this continue in here, and go ahead and now cut up my potatoes. And my potatoes are going to go in the microwave. After I cut them, I'm going to cut them up first, put them in the microwave, and let them finish cooking in the mic. Yeah, there we go. And I have the temperature on 250 still. Alright, now before my last thing to do is to put my parsley in here, because I want my parsley to cook and dehydrate with everything else. So I can put my parsley in here. Okay, I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons. That was 1 tablespoon, and this is tablespoon number 2. So 2 tablespoons of parsley. Put that in there. And let that cook up like that. If you don't like potatoes in your oyster stew, you could just stop right here and then go ahead and put your oysters in there and your milk and everything like that. But I want to make mine a little heartier, and so I'm going to use it. But add in I'm going to add potatoes to this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let that cook for about 15-20 more minutes, and with the top on 250. Okay, normally I would just go ahead and cube these up and put these in the microwave like that, but I don't know if you can tell, these are slightly green, and you don't want to use any green from the potatoes. And when I peel it, you can see, I don't know if is it coming through? Can you see the green? It's green. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm cutting off as much green as I can until I get to some white potatoes. Some white. All the green off. And the green is caused by oxalic acid, and the green comes from these being stored somewhere in the light. And I didn't do it. Someone gave them to us, and they were already green when I got them. I tried putting them in a bag, and sometimes that'll work. If you put them in the dark for a week or two in a cool place, they'll not be green anymore. But I left them since I was going away. I did not want to leave these at home. Somebody might use them by mistake. Now these, they probably would not make you sick unless you ate a lot of them, but I just didn't want to leave them for the people. Yeah, because my son cooks, I don't know if I ever told him about the green. So I'm getting off as much of the green as possible. And down to, yeah, that's fine, like that. Yeah. Okay. Oops. I'm a mess. Okay. All right. Put this in here. All righty. Okay. Now, I've got my potatoes all done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in ingredient. I'm only going to add about 1 tablespoon. That's it. And then I'm going to start adding up. Okay. That looks delicious. Ooh, yum, yum, yum. Okay, that is the base of the oyster stew. I have my potatoes in here, my onions, I got bacon and celery, onions, all that's in there, yes. And so I'm going to let that let that cook for about 3 minutes. I added my secret seasoning. That's my fish sauce. I added about a little less than a tablespoon, about a tablespoon of fish sauce to this. That's because it add a whole different layer of flavor to it. Also, I did not add all of the oyster seasoning because I got a little worried because it was a little cloudy down at the bottom. I'm not adding that to it. I don't know what that is, but I'm not adding that. Okay, so I got as much as I want in here. I added 1 quart of half and half, and if I have to add the rest of it, I will, but I think that's a good start right there. I'm going to add the rest of my seasonings, which right now is the, this is Cajun seasoning right here. This is Cajun seasoning. Cajun seasoning. And I'm only adding about, hold on. I'm only adding 1 heaping teaspoon to this. I think that's enough. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. And that's it. Because this is spicy. And it is also salty. And I didn't want to add a lot of salt to this. Okay. Alright. That's out the way. Everything else is in there. Only other thing I need to add is some ground pepper. And I got this right here. And okay. Alright, that's good. Get that in there. Stir that up, and I have it on 200 because I really do not want this to come to a boil. I want it to come just below so it gets good and hot but not boiling. I may even drop it down a little bit more, just make sure it does not boil. So I got this down to 190. Okay, and I'm going to put the top on this. And I've got my oysters over here. And they're sitting here. They're going to go in shortly. But they go in just before, right after the soup gets really good and hot. We don't want to overcook them. And then once the edges curl on these, you'll see what that looks like. Then I'll go ahead and put it on a real low, like 150. Keep it hot until my guests come. I still call them my guests. It makes it feel so special. Okay. All right, this is the oyster stew. Oh, my. And this is my brother-in-law. Isn't he handsome? And he said, how's it? Very good. It's very good. And my sister. Delicious. And my sweetie pie. Hampton, how is it, honey? It's good? Okay. All righty. And we're in our dining room, which is across from the kitchen. What did you send us to? I sent it. Oh, well. I had to teach my sister a little bit better, but that's okay. I love her anyhow. This is oysters. Let me taste it. I'm going to taste it myself. Hold on. Okay, I've got my soup here. I had a little tiny spoon. Oh, well, I had to make the best of it. I was wondering, too. I said, I want a big spoon. I know. I got a little tiny spoon. Okay, I did okay. Okay. Really, really good. Creamy. I got the potatoes in here. Only thing I didn't have in here I wanted to put was the hot sauce. That's you don't need the hot sauce. You don't need the hot sauce. Okay. Very good. Very good. And potatoes help it to be even creamier. And most time you have oyster stew, you don't put the potatoes in. This is Mimi in the kitchen. And that oyster stew is delicious. You gotta make yourself some. Bye.